On this week's Game On, we take the show on the road to bring you some inspirational stories from the track.
We'll also tell you about a couple of Liberty athletes making their mark at the international level, and a dancing champion returns to his roots. That's all in this edition of Game On.
Welcome to Game On location. Today we're coming to you from the beautiful new Liberty indoor track facility. This building opened up in January of this year and immediately became one of the best in the entire country. The 169,000 square foot complex is just one piece of Liberty's ongoing $500 million campus rebuilding project. What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, I'm Matt Warner. He's Rhett McGibbon. And Rhett, how about this place, man?
I know, absolutely pristine. It makes me just a little bit want to get out there and run.
Yeah, don't worry. It's not going to happen, though. We will not be taking the track. We do, however, have a lot of great stories today.
Yeah, we're going to feature a number of stories on track athletes who have made a name for themselves right out here.
That's right. But first, let's get you caught up on what's happening around Liberty athletics. And we begin with a dancing legend returning home. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's also an NFL running back. Of course, I'm talking about Liberty alum Rashad Jennings. Fresh off his Dancing with the Stars title, Rashad returned to Lynchburg to host his 5th annual Camp 180, a football camp for kids. It was all part of a big weekend of events hosted by Rashad with the goal of helping kids and giving back to the community, something that's very important to the 8-year NFL vet and at the heart of what his Rashad Jennings Foundation is all about.
For me to get back to my hometown keeps me grounded. It reminds me of where I come from. Every time I come back, I'm rejuvenated and refreshed because it reminds me of why I work so hard. This year was excellent. I feel like it was a big turnout. You know, we had 500 plus kids and campers come out. We had coaches out from everywhere across the U.S. Traveling in for it. You know, I feel like some of the kids left with some memories, and I also learned how to play football a little bit.
And make sure to stay tuned for a full Rashad feature coming up in the next few weeks. Well, sticking with Liberty football, redshirt senior punter Trey Turner is one of 146 nominees for the 2017 All-State AFCA Good Works team. The criteria for this nomination is based upon football players across the country who are dedicated to volunteering time to enrich the lives of others. During Turner's time at Liberty, he has volunteered countless hours at local community events, such as Reading Plays, the Nathan Norman Team Impact Leadership Group, the Dollar Makes a Difference campaign, Hop on Pop Reading Day book collection, and many more.
Well, after a scintillating freshman campaign, Georgie Pacheco took his talents to the international stage as a captain of the Puerto Rican Under-19 FIBA World Cup team. He would play 7 games of the tourney in Egypt, scoring 10.7 points per contest while leading his squad with 3.6 assists per game. Puerto Ricans would finish with a 3-4 record, good for a 9th place finish in the world. And Georgie came away with some valuable experience he can now take into next season.
Turning our attention to softball, recent Liberty grad Kenzie Friesen earned a spot on the Softball Canada Women's Elite team that will be competing in the Canada Cup International Softball Championship. The Canada Cup will be held in Surrey, British Columbia, that's in Canada, from July 12th through the 17th. The events will feature 15 total women's teams that include the likes of Australia, Mexico, Japan, and Chinese Taipei. Kenzie already has started once in the pre-tournament play. She would strike out 4 over the course of 5 innings, defeating a U21 team from British Columbia.
Well, as we mentioned, we're here in the spacious confines of the Liberty indoor track, but literally yards away from this building, construction crews right now are working on one of the top swimming facilities in the country. The new Liberty University Natatorium is coming together nicely as we move ever closer to the November 1st opening date. The concrete for the 50-meter pool has been poured, the gutter system has been installed. Piece by piece, this architectural gem is being constructed. The excitement is growing within the swimming and diving program, and only adding to it was the recent release of the 2017 schedule. Here's a look at some of the notable meet dates for 2017. It all kicks off on September 30th at Campbell before the Flames head to Big 12 Power Kansas the following week. Jump ahead in the schedule now to what will be a huge event on December 1st and 2nd. That's when the grand opening of the Natatorium will take place, as Liberty will host its first official meet in the new facility. It's the first of 3 meets on the season, concluding with the Liberty Last Chance meet on February 24th and 25th. That's the first ever Last Chance meet in Liberty program history.
You know, for those of us who grew up in North America, our childhood probably wasn't that bad. But for the youth that grew up in foreign nations, they faced some trials. Thankfully, there are athletes like D. Salukambo, whose goal in life is to make a difference in his homeland.
When the civil war started in Congo, where my dad was working, they had a lot of wealthy people. So the rebels were targeting them because of the money they had. So almost each week at my dad's workplace, they had a funeral. So all these people will go to work and you don't know who will come back. So he was living in fear.
Dee's father would become president of an organization that financially helped those families whose husbands and fathers had been killed by the rebels.
So when the rebels discovered about this group, they wanted the money, and my father as the president, he refused. He said this money is to help people, it's not to go into the war. And so he was arrested. We had no idea where he was. And as it was in those days in Congo, if you don't see somebody for 1-2 days, they're dead.
But God had other plans. A security guard at the prison was a member of a family that had been helped, and he allowed Dee's father to escape.
So my father came that night, and then the next morning, he told us he's going to Rwanda to visit our aunt. And he went to Uganda for a whole year. We didn't see him, and we had to stay in Congo with my mother. So the same thing my father was trying to avoid for other family happened to us. And she started working from 6 in the morning up to 10, 11 p.m. But she did everything to keep us in school, to feed us. One of the memories I remember is when my mom would come back home. And if she had bags, that meant we're eating that day. And if she was empty-handed, we're not eating that day. But she never stopped.
The family would be reunited in Uganda in 2001, and 3 years later were sponsored by the Catholic Church to relocate to Cleveland, Ohio.
In Congo, I was a soccer player. In Uganda, I played soccer too. When we reached the US, I went to the high school, and I tried for the soccer team at Lincoln West High School, where I didn't have to try out. I made the varsity team. And one day when we were practicing on the track, so we're practicing and the cross-country team were also practicing there. So I started passing those guys. And that's when the cross-country coach at Lincoln West, he saw me and he just, we need you. And I'm like, you need me for what? We need you to run for us. And I'm like, okay, because that was my answer when I reached in Cleveland. Everything you say was like, okay. I just wanted to try everything.
After high school, Dee took his running skills to Denison University, becoming a 3-time All-American. While there, his attention turned towards competing in the Olympics for his native land of Congo. But more than that, he developed a desire to help the Congolese children, just like he'd been helped, to give them hope for the future.
What if in Congo there's a kid who is even better than me, but they don't have a mentor, they don't have a coach, they don't have somebody to tell them, hey, you can run and be better. That's how Project Kiroche started. And I went back in Kiroche, July of 2012. I called all these kids, almost 300 kids showed up the first day. And they'll show up at my house at 3 in the morning. Let's go run, let's go run. I'm like, it's 3 in the morning. They'll just sit on the outside until 5. And then we'll go run and come back. And now I'm running, it's more for those kids. And then it's not only the running, it's not only the education, but it's a family. The war has taken so much in Congo. Those kids staying orphans, homeless. There's no future, there's no hope. But once you bring them God, you bring them hope, you bring them everything they need. So that's what we're fighting for.
Matt, can you imagine your dad's at work, you're growing up, you're this youth, you're this young kid, and all of a sudden you realize your dad is just pulled away from his office, dragged out of his office to jail?
No, tough situation there in the Congo. And what impressed me most about the story is Dee left that country, could have just said, I'm done with it, I'm not looking back. But instead he comes to the US, goes to college, and says, I'm gonna go back and help those people that are in the same position that I was in. That's impressive and selfless of him to go back to a place where he faced a lot of pain.
Yeah, great testimony for sure by Dee. Coming up, Liberty Track and Field has begun work on another exciting project. We'll tell you about it.
And meet a rising star from the Bahamas whose big arm is earning him early success. That's when Game On continues.
I'm on my way, heading out across the bay.
You know, conventional advertising says we should start with an arbitrary quote from a historic figure. It should make us sound nostalgic and wise.
Horizon, showing where I long to be. Outward bound, I travel on through rain or shine. Where empty.
Now we're supposed to cut to some slow motion footage of beautiful students to complete the package. Are you ready to apply now? Wait, scrap that. Listen, we're all tired of forced authenticity, and we don't want to waste your time with contrived quotes and stock footage. Let's try something different. You see, we believe in the challenge of a valuable education, the kind that keeps you well into the night as you search for the stars, the kind that prepares you for your dream job of changing the world. We love our beautiful campus, where diversity can be seen in the color of our skin and the service we engage in. We paint up, rise up, and stand up for truth. On 4th and 1, oh, you better believe we're going for it, because there's a fire in our hearts, a fire that burns for a better world. Like those who came before us, we're ready to roll up our sleeves and dig in. We have faith, hope, and love, so we become good fathers and mothers, co-workers and civil leaders, innovators, trailblazers, those who spark a revolution. We believe in training students how to remain true to their faith when the going gets tough, when those around you seem to rise against you. So if you're still watching, thank you. Let's build a better world for Christ. Liberty University, training champions for Christ since 1971.
Was really interested in going to a Christian university because I wanted that Christian worldview, sort of that Christian perspective. And so I did some research, and Liberty kept kind of popping up, and pursued that and came and visited and just fell in love with the campus and the people. The biggest thing that stood out to me is just the missional mindset that kind of starts from the top down here, you know, champions for Christ. And I think that that has a trickle-down effect to a lot of the students, you know, and the people are just, I don't know, there's just something different about the people here and the environment here that's attractive, and that I really liked, and I wanted to be a part of that. The university as a whole has been really good about sort of meeting those needs that students have when they first get here. My name is Russ Allen, and I'm graduating with a Master of History degree at Liberty University.
Hey there, welcome back to Game On. We're here at the beautiful indoor track facility on the campus of Liberty University. You know, goals play an important role in many aspects of life. You can have goals in your career and even in your family life, but in sports, they play an important role in the sense they get everybody on the same page. And that's exactly what we're talking about in this edition of Coach's Corner.
I think setting goals are very important, and we definitely do a top-down approach where we look at the bigger goal. We look at this is what we're going to try to accomplish in the long term, whether it be at the end of the year or within the next few years, and we'll discuss that and how we're going to get to it, and then we explain the short-term situation. Okay, this is what we're going to accomplish this semester. And then this is what we will accomplish this month and this week, and today this is what we're going to accomplish.
We like the long-range goals. We want to dream big and think big in our program and have those big goals out there, but really it's about coming right back down to the daily goals. I think that's where you really find success, is when you can meet the small goals each day. And so goals are really important, but more importantly is them actually doing them. So you try to strive the importance of it.
But when it comes to a team and its goals, really I think you got to let the players set the goal. I don't ever want our team, I made this mistake my first year I went to the NCAA tournament. I just wanted to get to the tournament, and I told our team if we did what we could, we'll get to the NCAA tournament. And I actually put a lower ceiling on our team than because once we got there, we were just satisfied. That was the end all for us. And I don't want to ever do that again. I want our guys to dream the biggest dreams. So from that point on, I really have kind of let our kids decide what they wanted for the season and maybe how far we could go.
Well, this building that we're standing in has been such a blessing for a Liberty track program already rich with success. But guess what? They're not done with new facilities just yet. Right now, Liberty is in the process of building a brand new cross-country course. It will start and finish right next to this indoor track and will be completed in time to host 2 meets this season, including the Big South Cross Country Championships in late October. As you would expect, head coach Brant Tolsma is excited about the addition of this course, as well as what it means for the future of the program.
The thing people like the most is if it's interesting running. In cross country, you like to have the experience of being outdoors, enjoying some woods, there's some ponds that we run past. A park-like setting is nice, and this is going to be like a new park. You know, it's not a park yet, but it's going to develop into that over time, I think. And it'll be, the great thing, it'll be ours. And so we got a brand new indoor track that's first class, a great outdoor track, and this is like the crown jewel to have also a cross-country course right next to it. So I feel like we're going to pretty much have everything we need to excel.
A large reason for the Flames' track and field success is their ability to bring in underclassmen who contribute immediately. And following in the footsteps, like many before him, is another young man looking to perfect his trade. Meet javelin thrower Denzel Pratt.
If you're about to throw a jab or if you're about to run a race, your mindset is just on that event. If you're thinking about that, you get this moment on you nothing's gonna stop me now. So just take hold of the jab and do what you gotta do.
When Denzel Pratt was introduced to the javelin in the 7th grade, it was a natural fit.
I normally had this tendency to want to throw stuff, so jab was just there and I liked it. After practicing it, I saw that I was good in it. So I was like, I'll do this just because I like it and I'm good at it. So.
Good might be an understatement. Denzel quickly became not just one of the best young javelin throwers in his native country of the Bahamas, but he also put up numbers that would have ranked him as one of the best in the U.S. So obviously, Liberty coaches were thrilled when Pratt decided to become a Flame.
As soon as he showed up, watching him throw for the first time, it's just like, all right. Makes you kind of laugh inside and you're like, okay, this kid can be really good.
You may be asking yourself, how exactly did Liberty get a kid from the Bahamas to come all the way to Lynchburg, Virginia? Well, it wasn't originally part of the plan.
Pete McFadden, our sprinting coach, he went out to the Bahamas looking for some sprinters and didn't really find what he was expecting, but one of the coaches out there mentioned they had a good javelin thrower. So Denzel's name then kind of popped up when he got back, and I was like, 67 meters, we'd love to have a kid like that.
And after the early results, they were loving it even more. Denzel won 3 of the first 5 competitions in which he competed, and for him, the bigger the meet, the better he is.
Performing in the front of crowds is my best. I like to perform in front of crowds. It gives me the motivation to do it.
And if he has his way, one day he'll be performing on the biggest stage.
The ultimate dream is the Olympics. To make the Olympics would be pretty exciting for the country and my hometown to help us be proud of something that nobody ever done before.
I don't think Denzel's goals are at all unrealistic. He's very, very talented, and I definitely could see him making the Olympic team for his country. And it wouldn't be easy to do. I mean, you have to throw around 83 meters to be able to do that, but I think he's got the potential to do that.
And Pratt knows what he has to do to someday reach that potential.
I have a lot of work to do. I have to put in a lot more work to get where I want to be. And Olympics is a long shot. I don't know if I'm gonna make this one, but next time for sure.
Still to come, she was one of the greatest female runners of her day, but not everything came easily. We introduce you to Olympic gold medalist Madeline Mims when Game On returns.
This is Liberty University, the world's largest Christian university. Want to come visit us? Well, you're in luck. Homecoming is a perfect opportunity for alumni, families, and newcomers to participate in the game day experience. At College for a Weekend, you get to hear from speakers, go to classes, and attend our weekend concert. Ring in the new year with us at Winterfest. Spend the day snowboarding at Snowflex, rock climbing, or at the Artist Q&A, then rock out at night with the top Christian artists. With so many ways to visit our campus, why aren't you here already?
Welcome back to the show. Today we've been coming to you from the new spacious indoor track here at Liberty University. And we've also been sharing with you some inspiring stories from the sport of track and field. And Madeline Mims' story is no different. An Olympic gold medalist faced some real challenges in her life, but she overcame them, and now she's helping fellow Olympians follow in her same footsteps.
What does it feel like to win a gold medal? Like nothing you have ever imagined.
In 1968, Madeline Mims became, and still is, the only American woman to ever win an Olympic gold medal in the 800 meters.
I remember standing on the winner's stand and looking up and seeing my flag raised and thinking, that's because of me. As I came through the line, the finish line, I could hear my mom hollering, and she's like, thank you, Jesus, that's my baby. And I was like, I just kind of looked up and saw her just praising God. And I was like, that's my mom.
After her initial Olympic success, Madeline continued winning titles and breaking records. But when the time came to compete in the next Olympics, she was experiencing some personal challenges.
1972, Munich, Germany, was a hell year for me because I became a single parent to raise a son. I also was running very angry. I was hurt, and I wasn't out there to glorify God. I was out there to show you can't keep a good woman down. And that's the way I felt about it.
But it would be the Black September massacre of the Israeli Olympic team that had a lasting impact on Madeline's life.
I got up and I went out on one of our sprinters' balconies that was facing the Israeli building. And we couldn't understand what was going on. We saw all these men in black suits walking around, and all of a sudden there were guys on top of the roofs, and we didn't know that they were sharpshooters because they had on sports gear. So we're pointing at them like, oh, they gonna get in trouble? You know, what are they doing on top of the buildings? And finally, Floppy Hat comes out, and he turned sideways, and then we saw a gun, and it hit us. This dude could blow us away, and we all turned at the same time and ran toward the door. I'm in the front because I had been by the railing, and so that means my back now is toward him. And the fear hit me so hard, thinking, they're making too much noise. He's gonna get really upset and turn around and start shooting, and I could just feel bullets riveting through my back. It was a moment that was very, very traumatic for me.
In all, Madeline competed in 3 Olympic Games, and it was during those years that God was preparing her for an even greater purpose than just winning gold medals.
People would come to me and talk to me that were on the team about my faith and about their faith and how does this work and what does this mean in the Bible. And I didn't know that the Lord was making me a chaplain at the time, you know, counseling and being there and serving my teammates.
Since 1988, Madeline has served as chaplain to every U.S. Olympic team. She sees it as a role so vital to Olympic athletes, some who may come up short of realizing their Olympic dreams.
People that you love have seen their dreams die after years of training. But to be there with them, it's one thing for them to experience the death of a dream. It's another thing for them to experience it alone. And sometimes you don't say anything, you're just there. It's your presence. You're representing God, and you're saying He's not left you alone. And He's here with you, and you're going to get through this. We'll rejoice with those who rejoice, and we'll weep with those who weep. But we'll love them all.
Well, Madeline Mims is just a great example of someone that's able to take their personal experience and use it to impact others. Not just her experience from the track and in her sport, but more importantly, her spiritual experience that she's now able to share with fellow Olympians.
Yeah, you don't usually think of a chaplain as a member of the team, but in a lot of ways, they're the most important part.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, hey, we're about out of time for today. We want to thank the Liberty Track and Field program for letting us crash their beautiful new building. It's been an absolute treat.
Yeah, make sure you check out our website, GameOnLU.com, and on social media as well at GameOnLU.
That's right. All our stories are there, some special videos, and even some promotions going on this summer, so check those out as well. Well, as always, he's Rhett McGibbon. I'm Matt Warner. Thank you so much for watching this week. We expect to see you right back here next time at Game On.